Okay, it works. Ta-da!
Hey, hi everyone. Hey Danil,
Hello, Michael.
and
Yeah,
hi,
nice to
hi
see you
Papa.
on this colorful background.
Yeah, very, very, very nice seeing you as well against some reefs. I haven't seen that for a while, and happy to be here. Thanks to everyone for joining us. It's been a long time that we haven't, or I haven't, felt like we've communicated with you guys, and we miss you. But not to fear, we've been very, very, very busy and observing as well. But thanks for joining us on this pre-Thanksgiving kind of day, I guess, as we lead up, right, Daniil?
Yeah, I mean, most of our community, like a lot of people from our community, are from the US. So yeah, happy upcoming Thanksgiving, guys.
Yes, happy to you. Happy to you. And we just wanted to join you guys on Wednesday and, mention that we're going to be trying to have these hosted AMA sessions with some member of the team and hopefully us most of the time on an upcoming weekly basis. So we can keep in touch with you
Yeah,
guys
because
about all the activity. And
a lot of things going, and yeah, I would love to share it instead of typing it in a general channel in Discord. It would be nice to just chat with you guys and just like tell it to you live. It's much faster, and hopefully you will get my like internal excitement through video better than through chat.
yeah, that's a really good point. I think that it's been fantastic being able to pop in and text updates and things, but with all the activity that's so exciting going on outside of the Discord and our server channels and outside of our ability to communicate with you guys by digitally, there's been so much going on kind of out in real life in my studio and in Danil's workplace and everything else that I think in many ways to share it with you this way is does it more kind of does the excitement more justice perhaps. And
Cool.
so that we'd
So
love to answer some questions from you guys, which is why we're here.
but first of all, I think we have some things to cover, right? We have some updates to cover first, and when we can start and like replying if some messages will come in by this time.
Definitely. Well, one of the things that we're doing for sure that you guys have heard about in our server channel is our upcoming Miami Basel event. And we're very excited about, one of these first opportunities to meet in real life with you. It's not the sculpture yet, but there's more on that soon as well in this conversation. But one of the things we're really excited about is both of our presences in Miami, where we'll be hosting an event. And I just wanted to mention that we still have a few tickets for you, our dear crystal holder community, to attend the Friday, December 3rd event in Miami. It should be really fun. And, anyone that can make it, we look forward to seeing you guys all there.
Yeah, and I don't know, are we allowed to discuss like how the event will go and what we preparing for this? Yes or no? I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
from
we can
my
give a
side,
little preview.
yeah. So from my side, I've spent a few days preparing visuals, like because event is nice, having drink is nice, having cocktails, a party always good, but. I want the crystals to be represented there too, not just the community members and our beloved guests. So I spent last 3 days preparing beautiful visualizations of some crystals you guys already uh, grew. So I don't want to have like abstract crystals on this party. It will be real ones. So I spent some time creating high-res renders and some 360 rotations. So for the first time ever, some of you will be able to see the back side of the crystal, like a dark side of the moon situation,
So
which is not.
exciting.
Yeah, it looks awesome as a rotating thing. I wish it wouldn't be so like computer power hungry for rendering this, because we spent like significant amount of money just to render high-res 360 animations to those, but they're beautiful. And yeah, I can't wait to show off how it looks, because for me, I mean, I have the system, right? I have all the abilities. I constantly monitor whatever render farm is doing, and have to double check if something comes to support and saying like, oh, it doesn't look this way, so I have to launch it locally and check the crystal from all possible angles. So I have this privilege of seeing your crystals from any side. But yeah, it will be for the first time for publicly to show off this thing. So I'm pretty excited. And on top of that, I was preparing some AR features and Instagram filters for people who will attend this party to use. And probably after that, it will go public after the start of the December. I think we should release it publicly. So a lot of exciting things coming. I mean, being prepared from creative part. But Michael
Super.
has, yeah, some more. He has a backstory of creating all his presentations because he has these exhibitions before. So I'm excited to see how it works, because for me it's the first time.
No, it's really exciting. I actually think your developments with the rotating crystals are fantastic at high res, and each time it's amazing, because each time I think we see them now on 3-axis, where the programming determines what angle we see. Now to be able to do free range turning, each single angle within a millimeter of movement is a new artwork. It's like a new painting or a new photograph, and it's a new composition. And that's really incredible. So suddenly there are all these new pieces locked inside of one crystal, which is fantastic. And
I think
but to
I
that
should,
point,
I think I should probably explain a bit how the system will work, because again, it was in the chats, it was an announcement, but we never had a chance to spend some time explaining like why we do that and how we plan to do that. So the thing is, there are some situations, it's like a small partial part of all iterations we have, that people are not happy with the camera angle, which perfectly makes sense, because we're trying to basically have three-dimensional crystal, and trying to choose just one 2D image, right? So something get like obscured by other crystals. So it's not ideal. And I had these complaints from some people, which I understand. Like, okay, we were trying to solve unsolvable thing here, to represent three-dimensional object in 2D space. So our solution was like, we couldn't do it for each individual person manually. Obviously, it's 10,000 crystals, and it couldn't be done manually. It's not a solution. It will, like, we would need a full-time person doing that, and it still wouldn't be enough, because there are so many of you guys, and like some of you are not happy, which I understand. So our solution was to automate, as usual with this collection. We are a generative collection, and we're trying to use as much computer automation as possible to create this beautiful art. So we creating basically a site, or we internally call it an app, but technically it's basically a site with some code. And we plan to allow for any crystal holder to log in with, obviously, with your wallet, to prove it's your ownership of the crystal. And for, like, you can select each crystal you have, and it will be like side-by-side images. So what you have right now is a rendered image and 3D model, which you freely can rotate in around 3 axes. And after you decide, like, okay, this is a best possible camera angle I would like to preserve, you press this lock and render button, and it sends these angles back to our backend system to render farm, and we re-render exactly the same crystal you have already from different camera angle you've chosen, and put it back in our backend, and it will update on OpenSea. And to prevent constant updates, because it will be just prohibitively costly for us, obviously, because we have to pay for every single render. We allow it to do it with every single generation increase. So basically, you buy a crystal, it goes through the system, it got automatically tries to find the best angle and render it for you. If you're happy, everyone happy, like we keep it as it is. But if for some reason you are not, you have this ability to use this site, which is coming, I don't know, like 10 days from now, I think, our ATA, and you'll be able to use the system to change the camera angle and rerun it through the system and get the angle, like the best possible angle, because you personally selected it. So that's train of our thought, and that's how we want to deal with like rotation thing. Michael?
No, fantastic. It's hard to follow that up, actually. That's so exciting. And I've seen the results, so I think that it's absolutely incredible, and at high res, it's really fantastic. I think for my part, along the lines of seeing something in person and for real, I have been developing also in the back end here some conversations with, as I mentioned, I think in the chats in the Discord, conversations and actual prototype testing from the AR models and the 3D models that result from that. Some SLS and three-dimensional printing processes, SLA, various different types of processes and materials we've been experimenting with. And I hope literally in a day or two to have one of the first of our ready models.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I can't wait to hold it in my hand. I can't wait to share it with you, Danil, and I can't wait to share it with our community, with everyone out there. And this would just be, again, a bit of a caveat. Whatever we do look at and get to feel and hold and share with you is part of an R&D, research and development kind of process, as we really try every kind of material possible to try to see what can work structurally, what will work beautifully and aesthetically, and also be able to kind of play its role in a much larger sculpture, which is basically the representation of our whole community. And if you can get your head around the idea of 10,000 of us, of you, of these crystals all together in one place, and you start to understand that this material is going to be asked a lot. It's going to ask to do a lot. And so we really want
no one done it before. That's an amazing part. I mean,
so.
it involves a lot of R&D on your side, on our side as a creators of the collection. But the thing is, it's again, I'm excited because we are in the bleeding edge of 3D printing, because there were literally no projects on that scale for digitally generated artifacts brought to real life on that scale, because people can model one thing and 3D print it. There were some attempts to create bigger sculptures. We shared recently this sandstone thing with you, back and forth with you, Michael.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Every single time I talk to Michael, and he I'm asking him what's the reef, how does it look like? And on our last meeting, it was we were in a coffee shop, and he said oh, you see this third floor, this is the height of this thing. I just really? So that's what we are building? Is it that big? It's amazing. I mean, it's a R&D process again. I don't know, will it be exactly the same, because there is like physical limitations of the materials and technology we have right now. But it's I love the vision. I love like the scale Michael thinks of, because for me it will like Reef would be like that. Because I'm another sculptor.
Well, how can we, I mean, it's great, the idea that how can we all be in front of something that's as large as all of us and as large as the project and the community and what you imagine in this infinite space, Danil, which is incredible. And but how can we still have an intimate experience with it? So I think that's the challenge, is can we make something that's as big as a house, but that you can look at and be as intimate with as you would, your neighbor or your partner or your friend.
Yeah.
And
It's your piece.
and yourself.
Like, this one is yours. It's yours.
I'd like you to look into a mirror and also look at the world at the same time. And I think, that if that's our mandate, that's what we're working for. But as everything physical, and with the material world fighting us back, things take time. And so we ask, and we're grateful for your patience as this, which is partly why we dropped out of the picture for a while. But we're back, and I think we're on a really good pathway towards realizing some of this. Kind of more on this a little bit later, but I think we should, on the issue of time, maybe that's a good segue into it's one of the questions that I think just came up, which is, will the growing period end on December 15th? And when will the growing period end? And Danil, I think you have some comments on that.
Yeah, so the thing is, like, we like everyone who's been following the collection know the issue we have right now with the gas. And we got a lot of questions from community, especially from the people who not just holding the third gen, but try and actively grow and interested in growing, which is like core mechanics we have. And all of them were saying basically the same thing, that the window we had with 2 months is feels like it's artificially shortened, because they can grow only on these moments where the gas fees going lower, and last 3 weeks were constant above I don't know, 100 pay. So it's a lot, and I understand that people are waiting, but the deadline is coming, and people feel a lot of pressure. And on top of that, which I understand, but on top of that, there were some questions and suggestions which I didn't expect to come. That people think that the crystals might be cool gift for NFT newbies, for just newcomers, for Christmas and New Year. I never thought about this from this perspective before. And our deadline is December 15. So we waiting, like, should we extend or should we not? Because I understand this is very controversial thing. So we're thinking about this. Obviously, we shouldn't extend the growth period forever. It's not an option for the collection, because otherwise a lot of mechanics and early adopters who already in our collection will feel themselves betrayed, because and we have a lot of mechanics which we physically can start only after collection is frozen, because like the reef itself, we cannot do it with create physical thing if each individual piece is still changing. So we're thinking about some possible options we could use. One is be strict and have December 15 as our deadline, or maybe extend it, but not obviously not infinite, but maybe for 2 weeks or a month. And of course, it's a decision which we shouldn't do and make alone. So after internal conversations within the team, we'll settle down and we will have our idea how it should be dealt with. I think it would be it would make sense to make it a decision for the whole community. So we probably will come up to Discord and ask the community, have a vote on should we extend or not. and if so, for how long? Because again, it shouldn't be like too long because it breaks the mechanics. But maybe having December 15 is too short for growing because of these unfortunate circumstances of high gas fees. So I'm just want to like.
Yeah.
I don't have a decision, like I don't have a solution yet, because this came like this constant gas fees came as a surprise for me and for the whole team, because it's unprecedented. It never happened before. So we had these spikes in the fees, but usually it would settle down in 2 or 3 days. Now we have 3 weeks in a row with just small windows when the uh, gas fees were manageable. So yeah.
I just wanted to add, I think that we went back and forth quite a bit with the idea that this project, in order to keep its integrity, as an art project, and to stick with our mechanics, as we had said, really, really have a hard time kind of imagining changing it, because we made a kind of a contract and a piece that's part of the concept. But after talking, I think, amongst ourselves, and also watching the pain the community went through with growing, which has kind of inflicted its repercussions on on the reef itself as well, or on the individual crystal growth. I think it's fair to say that in some ways we always thought of this project as a reflection of all the activity, but that would happen during this project, regardless. But I think in some ways it's important to think of this as a portrait or a record of the activity of our community. And I think in some ways, rather than it be a record of what's happening in the Ethereum prices or in the gas wars or something. And so in order to turn it away from a portrait of what's happening outside, and rather make it more of a record and portrait of what's happening internally within our project, and with you and with all of us as co-creators, I think it's important we give this thing and this project a chance to grow a little bit more fully, without the kind of restriction of gas. But again, as Danil mentioned, I think it's an important decision, and one that we don't want to entirely make alone. So your involvement, I think, is really critical, and we will bring it in. Yeah.
Okay, so we have more questions. What happening with OG crystals after they stop growing? Do you have any rewards in mind? I'm just reading it aloud because someone will be just listening to the record after the event. So I don't want to rely on anyone just watching it. Okay, I can answer on digital part, and probably Michael will add on physical part, right? So
Sounds
from
good.
my side, so technically nothing nothing happens, and it's a good thing. So after the period of growth will end, we will freeze the current images, 3D models, and metadata in IPFS. We have some additional function in our contract which just waits for us to give it a signal that it should stop changing. That will convert this growing ecosystem into normal NFTs with predictable rarity, which not change every single transaction, so it wouldn't be dynamic. So we will have easily understandable ranking system because nothing is changing. And if you have crystal ranked, I don't know, 5, it means it will be number 5 forever by the if we use the same ranking algorithm. So, and on top of it, like, do you have any reward in mind? Well, you're gonna own your NFT, which is will be part of the physical thing, which is Michael's part. But it's probably a good way to segue, because to DAO question, because we plan to launch the thing, and your crystal will be basically your ticket to governing the funds DAO has. And on top of that, obviously, OG crystals, it's our well, it's our first collection with these mechanics, but it doesn't mean I will stop using this dynamic NFTs, because I'm very involved in in the idea of generative NFTs and dynamic NFTs. And I think in future, your crystals might be like, the data you have in these crystals might be used for upcoming collections from myself and Snark, and which we can reuse the same data to create something new. Like we have this crystal user pics, profile pictures, masks, basically created by one of the community members, and he used our. I think I created 10 as a template, but I think it would be nice extension, like additional airdrops or additional collections, which reuse the same data we collected through OG Crystals growth to create something new and have like a kickstart for your new generative NFTs. Uh, it's from digital instead of
Well, I
yeah.
also think on the digital front, doesn't maybe we could also even see some of the rewards as upon lock, as I think you're preparing the AR versions, and
Yes.
that's
Well,
somewhat of a reward in
it,
itself, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a cool thing to have, but it's not connected. Well, I probably should explain it a bit. So to create this rotational thing, like we need a 3D model basically, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see what we are rotating. And it's exactly the same model we're gonna use for AR, like later. And because rotation has a higher priority, obviously, because deadline is coming and no one happy, like not everyone happy with current camera angle. We want to focus on delivering this thing first. But what we develop this site, it's a starting point for like much larger database, like publicly available, not only for owners but for every person who interested in collection, to see for every single crystal what last generations were like, to see all this evolution, because we promised it many times that we're going to launch the site which will allow people to see how crystal like this particular shape came to life through all the generations. And because people said like, we had a vote last week, and it was a majority like asking for these 3D models to be private. We For owners, they will be able to not only see like publicly available scene, which is traits and images, but to get access to AR version of their crystal. And the same geometry could be used for 3D printing if you'd like to. It's not like
Exactly.
we printing everything for you and send it for you, but we give you the model. So if someone would like to have the crystal in real life on the shelf, well, why not? You have the model, so you can use it and 3D print it. I'm just saying that it's not like it's connected to the lock of the collection. As soon as we finish this site, and every single iteration of crystal growth, this will trigger both rendering of the image and creating AR model. So it will update basically in the same time frame we have right now. So you buy it and it's got updated on OpenSea. And in your on the site, if you log in with your wallet, you will have the same crystal as a 3D theme, like rotating. You can use your phone to put it into real world, download this model, put it in the central land if you'd like to, or any other metaverse platform which supports GLB format, which is pretty common, like interchange standard for 3D models. So yeah, so you'll have it, and it's not connected to lock. It will be earlier than the collection stop growing.
Yeah, so I think it's safe to say that we have rewards in mind, even if it's not
Yeah.
specifically a reward. I think all of our thinking has been about how this grows and how generatively things grow, and as things develop, that I think it's safe to say that the life and longevity of the project and all of these crystals, and especially with the owners in mind of these locked crystals, is that they don't just stop, much like these last 2 months so far, or a month and a half. Everything has been changing and dynamically growing. I think just because the NFT locks as an image or as a fixed, ungrowing NFT, albeit one that is fully rotational and three-dimensional, even though that is fixed from growing, I don't think there's any reason to say, much like the physical reef we're building, that NFT stops there. I think that the project and its growth and its extension into other communities and other projects, as Danil mentioned, is part of that reward mentality, I think, that we have in this project and in all the crystals.
Okay.
Shall we
This is a question for you, Michael. 100%
okay,
for you.
Okay. Let me see. I'm going back down. Super excited for the physical exhibit. Do you have any updates on where we might see the sculpture in the future? I can tell you a yes or no. Well, there actually is no. There's just a part that I can't quite reveal yet. But the good news is that there's been no. There's only been excitement. At the kind of concept in the people I've been talking with of venues and places to support and show our sculpture and our project, indeed. So I can say that I've been in communication with at least 3 different pretty major institutions, directors and curators, and excitedly talking about the idea of how can an NFT be a part of a collection? How can an NFT be shown? Can we show a sculpture? Is the sculpture a reflection also of the NFT? And so all of these really important questions that have never been asked before, I think, ever, in the idea of kind of museums and in relation to museums and NFTs are being asked right now. And I think, I know I'm not the only artist bringing those questions, or Danil is not us as a team are not the only artists bringing this to the table, but what's exciting is that there's been a really positive response, and I hope that I can share some more specific news with you as to the institutions themselves and perhaps even some dates. But we're looking to begin showing both 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional real-life exhibits that you could go see in person within, hopefully, the beginning of next year and towards the end of next year. So that's very exciting. I can also say that we're, again, as we talked about earlier, about to receive some of the first prototypes of the physical models of crystals, the 3D prints that we can share with you. I know that in many ways it takes time because museums move at a really slow rate, and the physical world sometimes moves a lot slower, as we all know, than the NFT world and NFT space. So, but in deference to the fact that even though things are moving slowly, we are also as excited as you to see something in real life. That I don't want us to shortcut and show something that's not ready, but I do want us to share as soon as we can so we can experience something in person. And so I think once we get more word of some of the possibilities of where we can show in a major museum, I think that Danil and I will sit down with the curators and directors and decide on whether or not we can have, as a proposal, multiple exhibitions over a period of time so that we can, again, begin to share and stage some of the real life and physical versions of these sculptures in advance of a much longer time to take, potentially, to build the entire sculpture. So I can say, yes, hopefully we'll be able to share something more really soon, but that we haven't stopped the discussions and haven't stopped even mapping out possibilities and physical testing.
I just want to add, okay, again, I'm about digital part, but it's connected because it's about the reef itself. Recently, a few days ago, I had a conversation with Decentraland representatives, and they're this particular person is very interested in bringing the reef to the central end, because physical aspect of it is beautiful, and it's for like so many reasons it should be created, but it doesn't mean it should be, the reef should exist only as a physical thing. So it should be represented in metaverse, and Decentraland is a good start, because they are probably one of three basically platforms which actually have something, have the product, instead of just hyping metaverse word. They have like working thing, and I would love to use this as an opportunity, and to use this platform to be the first one who will host our AR versions of the crystals, and later when we settle up with the actual like, shape of the scene, with a digital version of the reef.
That's really exciting. I think the whole
Yeah.
idea of both the physical real world presentations and the digital presentations talking back and forth to each other is incredibly exciting. So the fact that they could exist in both in one place at different times, but in a growing way is really quite extraordinary. So that might be a good segue into a question here, Danil, about is the project at this point everything you imagined and hoped it will be, or is there something you're happy or disappointed about?
Okay.
I mean, I would say that I think that although that there have been slowdowns and there have been reflections on the growth of the crystals and project that have been kind of mitigated by the gas problems and some of the other world things happening in the world and in the kind of NFT space in general with cryptocurrency, the project itself and its reception and the dialogue it's been generating has been exceeded expectations.
Far beyond what I would ever expect. Yeah.
And blown away
I
by
never imagined
community,
that.
and even the kind of ideas that have been generated creatively, I think, between us in our dialogue, Danil, have been exciting to me, and they reflect back on my own sculpture practice as well. And so it's all been incredibly generative, just to use that term. So, I mean, mind blowing. And again, yeah. So I would say yes, it's there and then some, and it's not over yet. So
well, it's life. It's not like you have the best possible outcome from every single action you do, right? So in some areas it's so far beyond what I expected it to be. In some areas it underperforms, well, because it's not I can't control the world, right? So like this gas thing, for example, it came 100% unexpected, because it's again, it's an unprecedented situation on the market, and no one could predict what we will like our growth window will overlap exactly with the same thing happening in the market, which is just an unfortunate way of how the like real life works. So we're trying to adapt. We coming up with solutions. We at least like I strongly against changing the core mechanics, but we are trying from our side to do our best to help the community to grow the crystals. So our initiative with this gas war thing, it's one way we trying to help the community to grow, because we cannot remove gas from Ethereum. Unfortunately, it's not possible. That's how the like underlying system works. So we're trying to somehow basically help the community, and extending the growth period is again, it's one of our possible solutions we can propose to the community. Just give a bit more time and wait for this craziness to settle down a bit. So again, yeah, the question is like yes and no, as usual. Like you cannot be happy with everything. It's life. Like life happens.
But with that in mind, I think that there are also some real surprises to hopefully keep you guys rewarded and surprised and realize how invested we are into the development of the project, including some special, I would say from my part, collabs with other artists and things that we'll announce soon regarding museums and real life spaces as well. Should we
Okay,
take a look
so
at this
then,
question?
yeah, next question about marketing side. Are there some ideas, plans for grown rare crystals to be more promoted to the NFT space as a norm than niche in the future? How big investors hold on punks and borders? I wish we had like the third representative from our team uh, answer with about marketing. But the thing is, I got a list of marketing activities we are doing right now, and we plan to do from our marketing team. And the effort is like enormous, to be honest. I don't know, do community actually see it and appreciate that? But every single time we try to like create a list what have been done during past 3 or 4 weeks, just like it was a daily uh, things which obviously needed some planning and some involvement from many people from marketing. So they obviously very busy doing their part. Like me, just I'm a creative. I'm trying to take care of digital part. Michael is a creative person who deals with physical and like real life aspect. And we have a third part of the project, which is marketing team, Snark Art, and they do a lot. And to answer your question about upcoming steps, there are a lot planned things. So on the digital side, for this AR launch we have in possibly 2 to 3 weeks, we partnering with platform, not this like Decentraland is a thing, and another platform we've been in contact with. So we want to give crystals a use case in metaverse. So we trying to make wearable items out of the crystals, and we partnered with one company. Um, we have upcoming collaborations with a few collections which already supported by us, like we have collab collections. Unfortunately, punks and bored apes are officially not taking part in any promotions. It's not just us. So Larva Lab and people behind bored apes, they uh, above the market by this moment, and they say they cannot promote anyone. But it doesn't. We have still have 5 more really interesting collections which we collaborate with, and we want them to have some events with us, and it's in the plans. On top of that, we are in constant contact with influencers, and it's coming. And we already have like 3 or 4 video influencers. I think just one video was released just today, and a few in the last week. So a lot of things happening, and I understand that someone could not be satisfied because you always there could be done more. But I want to assure you that our marketing team works 24 hours basically, because we have our community management as a part of marketing team, which have to cover all the time zones because it's like 24/7 project. And yeah, I mean, we're working on
I
that.
think, yeah, I think that also to the question, it's that, in the beginning, we really saw this as organic growth, and developing our community was really, really free of a lot of Twitter and other influencers and regular kinds of engines for developing the project. And I think now as it's grown and matures and starts to take on new shapes, we do see, I think, the project itself as just as a beginning kind of nexus of something much larger as well. And that so the answer to that question is yes. I think that we will be looking at it as something much larger, normative than purely niche. Yeah, and we have a comment, I think, as our last question here, which says, Danil, do you want to read that, or shall I?
Yeah, well, before that, well, let's do it the opposite way. I'll read that. So G Crystal is truly an outstanding project. Thank you, guys. I mean, I've spent already almost half of the year of my life working full time on this scene. So I like the fact that you appreciate that. I think it may not be mentioned enough, and the floor price may be a reflection of it. Well, the floor price, it's very complex thing for this project because it's not like a regular NFT collection where the floor price basically reflects to some degree how valuable the whole collection is. And I read a lot of feedback from people who are actually very active in growing the crystals. They say that the low floor price for them, it's basically the gift because they can start growing from like lower thin and create the 7th gen crystals cheaper. So it's complicated matter for this collection. After the growth period will be over, the floor price will work more or less the same as for any other collection. But for now, I don't think we should like use the floor price as a matrix. To be honest, because of the mechanics is so different to every single collection you have on the market. The metrics should be different too. Anyway, okay.
But this is a really nice comment. It's a really nice comment. So can I read the whole thing? I just want to read it and bask. Bask in it because I think it's encouraging. So we really thank you. And this is from the Mindful One. And I know I've heard this from other members of the community as well. So despite the knocks that we may be appearing to take, it's really great to see this kind of faith in the project. And I'll read this because it's a great sweet note for me to land on and to end on, I think, for today. And OG Crystals is truly an outstanding project. I think it may not be mentioned enough, and the floor price may not be a reflection of it. But thank you both, team, for the birth of this project. And thank you. That's an amazing and great comment for us. So thank you, and really happy Thanksgiving to everyone, I think.
Just one thing before we close. I understand we're already on 47 minutes. I still have one thing which is pretty exciting to me, and probably the community should hear that before we wrap up. So the DAO is coming. Obviously, we promised it, and it's in a roadmap. And very soon we will give you more details on how the thing will operate, because it's a complex question. It's not like only what we want. It should be legal because we are U.S. residents, and there is a lot of like gray space things and unanswered questions by regulators how the DAO should operate. So we deal with that. We in constant contact with lawyers, and the DAO is coming. But before that, I don't, and myself and the team think the community should start participate in this kind of activity. Okay, we don't have a DAO yet, and but people should already get a feel of how it will operate. So our initiative is create basically a sandbox kind of thing, so people can start getting the feel of it. And we probably it will be announced maybe next week. So we are creating the community fund, and it will have some initial funding from the collection, and we plan to do like weekly based additional donations to this thing, and it will be operated completely by the community members. So you guys will decide and vote for what this money will be used for, and assign responsible persons who will do that, and check like are they doing it well. So there will be some like responsibility for the section. So it's basically how the actual DAO works, but before we don't have a DAO, we will have this kind of theme activity, and I hope you will take a part in this and appreciate and help to promote the collection all of you like, because otherwise you wouldn't be here, right? So it's your collection too. You are co-owners and co-creators, and I think you should be involved in promoting this scene and using the like financial aspect of it and decide on how this money should be used. So that's like a big thing coming next week or two, and I just wanted to share it with you before we go on Thanksgiving and just to wrap up our conversation here.
Thanks, Danil. Thanks for sharing that. That's great. And more on that soon, definitely. We're all in this together. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, guys, and for everyone who in the US, happy Thanksgiving. For everyone else, happy Thursday,
Christmas?
I guess.
Okay. Happy
I'm
Black
sure
Friday.
we will see you guys next week probably, because we plan to do these updates weekly. Maybe not that long one because obviously last one was 4 weeks ago, so we have a lot of to cover. But next one will be shorter, but still we plan to do it weekly.
Yeah. And a quick also take a look at the Discord for the naming contest, please. We're going in strong.
I'm so excited
with the final selection for naming our Xyloplax species. And so if you guys will please take a look and weigh in, then next week we'll be able to report back live along with Scripps, Greg Rouse, and make it official. So thanks again, guys.
Thank you for joining.
Take care.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.